The other day, I found out I was sexist. Didn't know it. Didn't know it. And I kind of understand how people who are racist cannot know. You're just so locked into your thinking. Everybody else is crazy, and you're right. All right? So let me explain to you how I found out I was sexist. We were talking about sports. Okay? I was talking about soccer. Right? And I was saying, hey, they were asking, JoJo, they were asking about their playoff team. And I was saying, man, they had the team that beat them had guys and girls on their team, and the girls were so strong at defense, and the guys could score with both feet. And then I said, at that age, girls and boys are equal at soccer. Okay? And one of my coworkers was like, what do you mean at that age? And I was like, yeah, between 7 and 9, the good girls are just as good as the good boys. And some of the girls are better than the boys, and they cross them up, But, when they grow up, men are obviously better than women. And they were like, what do you mean better? And I was like, well, you mean the men are better at the soccer playing than women. What do you mean? Like, how can you say that? Like, what do you mean, how can I say that? They are better at soccer than women. Like, if a group of men played soccer against a group of women, the men would win. And they were like, but how does that mean they're better? Like, what do you mean? If the men, now mind you, the coworker I was talking to is in a feminist book club. And I didn't really know that, and I should have just shut my mouth. Anytime women ask you, what do you mean, and they know what you mean, just shut up, because whatever you're about to say is going to be wrong, and you don't even realize that. She's not really asking you for clarity. She understands what you mean. She's trying to give you a chance to fix it. I wasn't realizing that. I was just like, and this is a thing about men, or me, I don't know if other men are like this, but I'm like this. When I think I'm right, I'm just like, what do you mean? What do I mean? If this is a soccer ball, the man's going to kick it harder, it's going to go in, then the woman's going to kick it. She was like, no, that doesn't mean they're better. I'm like, what? Yes. If we play soccer against you and we win, we are better. How are you not understanding that? So I was like, okay, let's go to another sport. Let's go to another sport. Basketball. Everybody can agree that men are better at basketball than women, right? Right, guys? And all the guys in my job just start backing away. They're just like, I don't. A couple of them, every time I would talk louder, they'd be like, I don't know. No. I was like, guys, come on. Like, men are better at basketball than women. They're like, no, Kev, you can't say that. I was like, what do you? Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yes, I can say that. Okay? Because, look, if you take the best players in the WNBA and you play them against any team in the NBA, they will lose. They're like, that doesn't mean they're better. I'm like, yeah, it does. And they're like, no, they're just better. They're just more physically advanced. I'm like, yeah, but that makes them better at a sport that requires you to be physically advanced. They're like, but a lot of times girls are more fundamentally sound. I was like, yes, I agree with that. Girls can shoot often more fundamentally better, but guys can dunk and are fast and strong, so they are better. They're like, no, that just means they're physically stronger. And I'm just like, what is happening? So I was like, okay. And this is when I can't believe one of my coworkers really believes this. But here's my example. I said, okay, you take Shaq. Nobody in the WNBA can guard Shaq. She was like, Brittany Griner. And I was like, no, she can't. Brittany Griner cannot guard Shaq. At any time in Shaq's career, he would dunk on Brittany Griner every play. This broadcast changed my whole perspective on you. That's hilarious. That's okay. I'm okay to be honest. They were like, no, I think she could guard him. I was like, no. So then they basically, as we started talking, I was like, okay, let's take archery. There's no physical prowess or shooting, like gun shooting. Now I forgot what I was saying because somebody said it changed their whole perspective on me. That's okay, guys. Look, I'm not on here to build an image. I'm on here to be who I am. And if I'm wrong, I'm okay realizing I'm wrong. If I am sexist or was sexist, I'm okay realizing that I had some thoughts that were not right, even though I didn't know that they were ever really even challenged before. I just kind of thought we all thought like this. But here's what I agree with. Now she was like, do you think men are smarter than women? I was like, no, I don't. I just made a video like last week. Women are smarter than men. I think, but my whole point was just about in sports. It was really just about only in soccer, basketball, and probably football, where physicality helps you be better at the sports. I'm like, men are better, right? But here's an interesting thing though. If you take just the skill to shoot a basketball, which doesn't require strength or speed or anything like that, I think women can be better shooters than men. Often are. They're absolutely more fundamentally sound. That's just a given. They might not be as fast or strong, but they're more fundamentally sound. Okay, but Shaq is strong and he's not the best. That's a good point. That's a good point. Shaq is strong, but not the best. Can't really, don't really have an argument there. I guess you really made your point. Yeah, okay. Yep, no, good point. No, it is a good point. But my thing is, guys don't even have to be as fundamentally sound as women to beat them in basketball. But if you're saying, basically what they're saying is I'm comparing apples to oranges. Even though it's the same sport, if one is more physically dominant, then they can't argue. You can't argue that they're better because they're more physically dominant, even if they would win in a game. So I was like, what about track? If a person in track, because here's my argument. Here's what I was arguing. I said, so let me ask you this. If the WNBA All-Stars play the NBA All-Stars and the WNBA All-Star team won, would you say that women are better than men at basketball? And they were like, no, I don't think we could say that. I'm like, what? What? I don't understand. In sport. So anyway, somebody said that this changed their host perspective on me. Guess what? It changed my host perspective on myself. The only thing worse than being sexist is not knowing that you have sexist thoughts. I thought sexists were like, women can't talk about sports because they don't play them. And I'm like, that's dumb. I don't care if you don't play football. You can understand the game of football without playing it. So I never felt like that. And saying like, you should be in the kitchen and like a whole bunch of other stuff that people said that's different than me. I thought, well, he's sexist because he said women belong in the kitchen, right? I'm not a sexist guy. But listen, you can have a sexist thought. It doesn't make you completely 100% sexist, but the way you think about a certain thing can be a sexist way of thinking. Same thing with racism or racist or prejudice or whatever. I bet people who are racist are like, well, yeah, I mean, I know black people are good at sports, but they're not smart. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, you can't say that. I mean, they're dumb, but they're fast. No, they're not dumb. I mean, they're not as smart as white people. You sound dumb. That's probably how I sounded to my coworkers saying that women are not as good at soccer as men. Like, no, but well, black people, they can't swim because their skin, with the chlorine. Black people can swim. No, they're not really swimming. They're floating with their arms moving. It's not swimming the way white people swim. You get it, man? So anyway, at the end of the story, I go home and I tell my wife. And I'm like, my wife is on my side. This is my wife. She knows what's up. So I go home and I'm like, babe, you know what happened at work today? We was talking about soccer, right? And I tell them, women suck at soccer and men are good at professional soccer. You know what I'm saying? And she's like, that's sexist. And I was like, what? You? She was like, Kev, you can't say things like that. That's sexist. I was like, but Liz, you know I'm not sexist. She was like, yeah, but that was a sexist thought. You probably shouldn't say those things at work. It's like, she was like, why would you say? She was like, there's a kid in our soccer team who can kick the ball really hard, but he's not fast. He doesn't play defense, and he doesn't play both sides of the field. Is he better than JoJo because he can kick the ball harder? No, he can just score goals better than Joe, but he's not better. Joe does everything well. And I was like, but you're right, and I'm wrong. I'm melting. So look, guys, I am okay admitting that I did not think about something the right way. Apparently, and here's how I knew. Everybody around me was like, bruh. And I'm like, nobody? The men were like, Kev, just shut up. And knowing is half the battle, and the reception is bad. So we'll pick this up. Actually, we probably won't ever talk about this again on Periscope. I'm just going to leave it right here. God bless you. God keep you. We'll see you at the conference.